Zion Williamson and the Pelicans have the ultimate moment for revenge, redemption, and the 6th seed on the line in the season finale against the Lakers. And after the Pelicans beat the Warriors, I'll tell you why they should feel confident. It's a bonus episode of Locked On Pelicans. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pelicans, your daily New Orleans Pelicans podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to another edition of Locked On Pelicans, the daily podcast covering your favorite team, the New Orleans Pelicans and NBA, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, available wherever you get your podcasts and available on YouTube. I'm your host, Pelicans Insider, credential member of the media, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter, here with y'all with a bonus episode of Locked On Pelicans after New Orleans beats the Golden State Warriors 114-109, a great game that we are going to break down in the second and third segments of today's show. But right now, do you realize like the true stakes of this game on Sunday against the Los Angeles Lakers, the season finale? Do you remember what happened in the in-season tournament to the Pelicans, how Zion Williamson played? I want to talk about what this moment means, because it means a lot here, I think, to not just this season, but in a way, the future of the team and the narrative around it. And I find this really interesting because, y'all, this is kind of what we live for when it comes to it. And of course, thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast covering everything you want to know about this team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts and join almost 10,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube. And if you want to see an episode of Locked On Pelicans in person Monday, the next show we're going to have Monday, or no, 2 shows from now. Monday, we're going to be in person with a live in-person episode of Locked On Pelicans at Mid-City Yacht Club with the Pels 12. Aaron Summers, Will Guillory, and Rel Myers are going to be my guests on the show. If you're there, we're going to do a live Q&A where you can ask us questions after the fact. We're going to break down the postseason, whether it's a play-in tournament or the 6th seed and what that means going forward and how they can win that series, and we'll know who they're playing. So come out, hang out in person, meet other Pelicans fans. Let's get excited because this team is fun. They're playing great basketball. We'll break that down a little bit more in the bonus episode here of Locked On Pelicans. But I want to take you back first. We're going to go time traveling for a minute. Back to December 7th, 2023. Quarterfinals or semifinals of the semifinals of the in-season tournament in Las Vegas. And the Pelicans playing the Los Angeles Lakers, the same Lakers team that they are going to play in the season finale on Sunday. And they lost badly. 133-89. I did an angry cast after the game because that's how bad it was. Zion had a terrible game. 13 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. He was 1 of 6 from the free throw line in that game. He had 2 rebounds, 3 assists. One of the worst performances he's probably had in a Pelicans uniform. And after that, the national media went a little bit crazy, right? The whole big news cycle that lasted for a while. Zion doesn't care. He's out of shape, and on and on and on. And now, fast forward to the final game of the regular season, April 14th, couple months later, and you have a chance for revenge, redemption, and the 6th seed. It's a little bit of hyperbole there, but you really have a chance to change the narrative. Look at how far Zion Williamson has come this year. Look at how far this Pelicans team has come this year. The West is brutal. The 5th seed, the Dallas Mavericks, have 50 wins. New Orleans has a chance for 50 wins here, and that's not even going to give them home court advantage. And look, it's okay. Bit of a disappointment, but it's okay. This team has come a long way, and there's so much to play for. Not just the 6th seed, right? But Zion, who's playing maybe the best basketball of his career, making a case for 3rd team All-NBA, has a chance to go and erase that awful memory from earlier in the season. You can't make this up, right? Like, this is about as poetic as you get when it comes to this. It's gonna be stressful. It might break our heart too, but we live for moments like this in sports. This is what makes sports so special and so much fun. And we get to experience this in the Smoothie King Center, at home at the very least, against a hated team with Anthony Davis, LeBron James, and the Los Angeles Lakers. We dig this. Games that matter on the final game of the regular season, where, by the way, the Pelicans do have a lot of success with that. So I can't wait for this game. You know, with the mentality that this team has had, and we'll get into their play in this win over the Warriors in a minute, you feel kind of confident right now. You know, going down against the Warriors by 11 early on and then battling back to take a big lead and holding on, that was impressive. The way they played against the Sacramento Kings, the way they played earlier against the Phoenix Suns, all of those things are going to be right there. Like, this team has a different mentality. Look at them giving the interviews together after the games. I love this. I think they're going to be ready for this moment. They have not really kind of played well in huge, massive games until this past week. But maybe this is a time to change the narrative. Zion doesn't want to hear any more jokes about his weight, whether he's lazy, whatever it is, right? This is how you bury that. No one is going to remember about the in-season tournament game, and the only reason they'll bring it up is to talk about how far Zion Williamson and the rest of this Pelicans team has come during this stretch. Oh, by the way, we're expecting that they're going to get Brandon Ingram back and have him out there on the court at times. This is big. We live for moments like this. Again, it sounds a little bit hyperbolic, but revenge, redemption in the final game of the regular seeding with a playoff spot, a literal playoff spot on the line. It's awesome. And I can't wait to see what this Pelicans team does. The narrative is fantastic around this. This is a chance for the Pelicans to show us who they truly are. No matter what happens in the postseason, if you win this game and you get in as the 6th seed, and it's either 6 or 7, right? Here's what needs to happen. Either if they win, they're the 6th seed. If they lose, and the Phoenix Suns lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who have a lot to play for, well then, they're also the 6th seed. Doesn't matter what the other result is. If the Pelicans win and the Suns win, Pelicans are 6. If the Pelicans lose and Phoenix loses, they're also the 6th seed. One of those two things needs to happen. A win for the Pelicans or a loss for the Phoenix Suns and they're in. If they win and the Dallas Mavericks lose, they're actually tied record-wise, but Dallas has the tiebreaker, head-to-head record there, so they're going to be 5th. So the Pelicans, the best they can do right now is the 6th seed. There's a lot to play for, and I can't wait to see what version of Zion Williamson we get in this game because he has a chance to write the ultimate narrative around it. Don't care who their opponent in the first round would be, anything like that. It's all about who Zion is on Sunday and beating this Lakers team. And after the way the Pelicans played against the Golden State Warriors, you have to feel confident about it for two big reasons. And I'll talk about those coming up here next in a bonus episode of Locked On Pelicans. Right now, though, I'm excited to tell you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members. It's the easiest and most exciting way to get in on the action while you watch your favorite sports and players. You pick more or less on 2 or more players' stats and watch the winnings roll in. You know, so March is over, but the biggest moments of basketball right now are in April with the NBA playoffs here. So get in on the action as we got basketball playoffs here. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and anything else going on right now with your entries on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. There's also quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 fantasy sports app. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA for a first deposit match up to $100. Download the app, use promo code LOCKEDONNBA, and get a first deposit match up to $100. Prize Picks, pick more, pick less. It's that easy. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We are the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this team. Subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Join almost 10,000 other Pelicans fans on YouTube as well. And come see me in person. Come hang out with Aaron Summers, Will Guillory, Rel Myers, and the rest of the Pels 12 at Mid-City Yacht Club, where the Pels 12 is going to be doing watch parties for every away playoff game and probably home games as well. And then we're going to do a live Q&A. We're hoping to live stream this on the Locked On Pelicans YouTube page as well. But come hang out for a live in-person show as we preview the postseason and then answer your questions. Might even buy you a drink. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there. We're expecting to have a really good turnout. You don't want to miss this. So let's get into the Pelicans win over the Golden State Warriors. And really what won them this game was the second quarter, where Whoa. Like, seriously, in the 114-109 win, it got a little bit tight at the end. Golden State had a lot to play for. New Orleans went bonkers in the second quarter, outscoring the Warriors 45-22. And they did it not really with Zion Williamson, who had just 3 points in that quarter, but they did it with defense and they did it with shooting. And those are the two things I want to focus on right now for the rest of this show. We'll get into Zion a little bit in the next segment because his defense, by the way, was outstanding in this game. But the Pelicans shot 10 for 13 from 3 in this quarter. Trey Murphy, a perfect 3 for 3. CJ McCollum, 5 for 7. And during this game, CJ McCollum set the all-time single-season record for three-pointers made as a New Orleans Pelican. Peja Stojakovic previously had the record for franchise history. It took him 72 games to do it. CJ McCollum broke that record in 65 games. He has been as important for the Pelicans all season long, but particularly over the past 10 games or so as they've tried to kind of keep going without Brandon Ingram, someone they have been clearly missing. CJ and his shooting and the way he's feeling it right now opens things up later for guys like Zion Williamson, for others on the team too. And when Zion kind of got busy in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter where he scored 19 combined points in the second half, that came from the Pelicans shooting in the second. And those shots, and you also had Jose going 1 for 1, Dyson Daniels going 1 for 1. It was a really impressive display of shooting, and it was needed for the Pelicans during this. And when you look at these threes that they made, some of these weren't particularly close, y'all. Some of these were 30-footers, 36-footers if you're Trey Murphy and CJ just launching these shots up with supreme confidence. Go look at the Pelicans shot chart on NBA.com. It's really impressive. And when you have guys shooting that deep and you need to defend them out there, that creates space later. Zion had a much easier time to score in the second and third because that shooting forced the defense for the Warriors to adjust. They need that kind of performance from these guys. As a team in this one, the Pelicans took 38 threes. They made 20 of them. That's 52.6%. They outshot the Golden State Warriors. They took more threes than the Warriors did. They made 7 more threes than the Golden State Warriors did. That is 21 points. 21 points in a game that you won by 5. That's important. And it let Zion then get free and get out and score. And that's what made them so effective here. Zion had not the most efficient game for him, 26 points on 26 shot attempts, but he was still scoring, was able to kind of get it going in the second half where he was much more effective because of that shooting early on. He had 19 points on 15 shot attempts when he wasn't getting to the line at all or getting any calls. And the Pelicans, speaking of not getting calls, really struggled with that in this game. The refs weren't really in their favor or on their side at all. And they still, as they did against the Sacramento Kings and some of these other teams, said, all right, fine, we'll find other ways to go and get the win. That kind of resilience there, that type of shooting like that, where the Lakers, if we're looking ahead, don't have nearly as much offense. That's exactly why you feel confident going into this final game of the regular season with all of the stakes. And maybe this team disappoints us, but with the way they're playing right now, the confidence is definitely strong, and it was because of the three-point shooting from these guys. Trey Murphy, 6 of 9 overall. CJ McCollum, a night after going 9 for 12, was 8 for 13. Not as good, but 62% is still good. 28 points for him. 24 points for Trey Murphy, 26 for Zion, 10 for Jonas Valanciunas. Herb Jones getting aggressive and making 2 threes, 13 points from him. The starting lineup carried you, and it needed to carry you in this game, and that's what you love to see, and that shooting is opening things up. But it also helps. It also helps when you force turnovers. And the Pelicans did a really good job of that. We'll talk about that a little bit more in the next segment here, but I want to stick on the offense here too, because this was a game where I thought they did a good job of trying to figure out what to do with the center position. Jonas Valanciunas, using him for rebounding, scoring a little bit too, but knowing you probably couldn't really close that way and needing to go small, and that's where someone like Dyson Daniels steps in. So he steps in and gives you a lot of that, where he can defend some of the centers, where Zion can do some of it too, and it allows you to go with the Zion at the 5 lineup, so you don't have to give Jeremiah Robinson Earl more than 7 minutes out there. and he made a three even, right? This was not a game to go with Cody Zeller. You want to play to your strengths here, and that's being really aggressive offensively, and that was definitely using Valanciunas when they ran Kevon Looney out there, but then going small when they weren't really using him, and that's what New Orleans did in this game. This was well coached by Willie Green and the rest of the Pelicans coaching staff, having a good game plan coming into this one. You've seen them get better as the season has gone on, even if they're not perfect. You also have Jose Alvarado, again, who makes just a huge difference. Pelicans played an 8-man rotation in this one. Jose played 35 minutes. He was a plus 18 off the bench. Dude just wins his minutes when he's out there on the court, and that is a huge thing. And now, again, they're going to get Brandon Ingram back, and that goes a really long way for helping them win these games. They're getting healthy at the right time when they're playing good basketball. They just went 4-0 on a pretty tough road trip where you played the Suns, the Kings, and the Warriors. Those are not easy games at all. Even though the Suns, the Warriors, and the Kings are in the play-in tournament right now, all of those teams have 45 or 46 wins. Those are good basketball teams, right? They're 10 or 11 games above 500 before the Pelicans beat them, essentially. That's a really tough slate of games, and the Pelicans won all of them. And then you beat the lowly Portland Trailblazers here. There's a lot of confidence through this team right now, and when you have shot making like that from guys who should be making those shots, you're going to be able to win a lot of games, and then it opens up your offense. And offense has been the problem for New Orleans. They were stuck in the mud a little bit in the first quarter. And then CJ got going, and once that three-point shot started falling, look at how different things were for this team. It was night and day. And that's why you feel really confident about it. The other thing that's going to make you feel confident about it is the defense, because, y'all, they were good. And when you have Dyson Daniels playing like that, Zion Williamson with a stat you won't believe, and I'll tell you, and then Herb Jones being Herb Jones, everyone, there's a quality to the way they play defense that I'm really excited to kind of like talk about. That's coming up here next in today's episode of a bonus episode of Locked On Pelicans. Right now, though, I'm excited to tell you about GameTime because, look, buying tickets to events, whether it's the play-in tournament for the Pelicans or the postseason, the actual playoffs for the Pelicans, buying tickets can be a frustrating experience. But not with GameTime. They take the hassle out of all of it. I've used them to buy courtside tickets to Pelicans games. I've used them to go to Saints away games. This is my go-to ticket app now for anything because the prices are good, and I like all the other features that they have. Right? You can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know you're getting tickets that you want. They have flash deals and last minute deals. So you can save up to 60% off when you buy last minute. So if you're on the fence about going to a playing game or a playoff game, hopefully for the Pelicans, wait until the last minute and watch maybe the prices go down. And then here's the thing, maybe you already bought your tickets, right? Well, they also have the game time guarantee. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less than what you paid, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So take guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download the Game Time app. Last minute tickets, lowest prices guaranteed. And thank you for making Locked On Pelicans your first listen today and every day. We're here Monday through Friday, the #1 Pelicans podcast, covering everything you want to know about this team, whether it's the postseason. We'll get into the draft, free agency, trades that they will likely do this offseason. What are they going to do with the center spot? All of those. We cover it all here. So please subscribe wherever you get your podcast and join almost 10,000 Pelicans fans on YouTube. We are part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Become an everydayer. Everydayers listen Monday through Friday. Comment down below if you're one. Tell a friend about the show. And then finally, and then we'll get into the defense here. Come to the live show Monday, this coming Monday, on April 15th, 7 p.m. at Mid-City Yacht Club. We're going to preview the playoffs, the postseason for the Pelicans. Will Guillory of The Athletic, Aaron Summers of Pelicans.com and Bally Sports, and Rel Myers of the Pels 12. It's going to be a little bit of a pep rally. We've got a ton of giveaways. It's going to be a lot of fun. And then we're doing a live Q&A with everyone in the audience. Ask us your questions, what's on your mind. We will answer them for you. I cannot wait. I will see you there. The flyer, if you need it, is on Twitter at Nola Jake and being kind of passed around everywhere. So let's get into the defense, because the defense of the Pelicans right now is freaking nasty, y'all. And I mean that in the best way possible. They just look flat out good on that side of the ball. Everyone is working in unison right now, and it's a beautiful thing to see. You know, defense is not something that you would call like pleasing to watch. You're happy when your team does it. It's usually about being more physical, I think, than opponents. But right now, with the way this team is connected and the way that they are playing, defense looks pretty. Everyone communicating. The defense on a string. So when one person rotates, goes to cover someone who's out of position, that means everyone else then moves, right? They're doing all of that. New Orleans right now has the 6th best defense according to cleaningtheglass.com, which should take into account this game. One of the things they love to do is force turnovers. The Golden State Warriors, 6 in this game. That's a big deal compared to just 8 for the New Orleans Pelicans. And they turned those 16 turnovers by the Warriors into 25 points. It let them get 17 points in the fast break, just getting out and running. So not only do you get 17 points in the fast break, 14 points off turnovers, but it also means the opponent doesn't score. That's the big thing, right? Like, it's a zero-sum game when it comes to that sort of thing. That's a really important thing. Everyone in this one was active. You saw the steals from this team. They had 11 of them, including Zion Williamson with 6 steals. We talked about the redemption from him in the first segment, the revenge that he can get on the Lakers. You know, a big part of that was his defense was not good. And he has really committed himself since then to getting better on that side of the ball. The dude is actively good right now. 6 steals, a career high for him in this game. Getting the ball, just ripping it out of guys, getting arms in the passing lanes, all of that. You're giving opponents 0 points while likely giving yourself at least 2 on the other end. That's brutal to opponents. And if they can keep that up, let alone against the Lakers, who struggle on offense at times, but in the postseason, you know, that's something that's going to beat opponents. They're going to win games based off of that. And there's no real weak link right now. If Zion's playing defense like that, that's huge. Trey Murphy had 8 rebounds in this game, 8 defensive boards. Defensive rebounding is defense. You're ending a possession by grabbing that ball. That's a really big thing for the Pelicans in this one, right? And doing all of that means you're going to win some games. And here's the other thing. Dyson Daniels off the bench is a monster. He had a couple of possessions late in this one where he stole the ball or blocked a shot and kept the Pelicans alive when a bucket might have tipped the momentum for the Golden State Warriors. And Dyson Daniels off the bench was like, that's not going to happen. What a weapon. What a weapon, right? You look at his stat line here, 2 of 4 for 6 points, whatever. He had 7 assists, 8 rebounds, an amazing defense, 2 steals and a block. He was so good. And he's making his threes, 1 of 1 in this one, but we've seen him go 4 or 5 recently too. The fact that he can shoot the 3 and be effective on that side of the ball shows his progression. You also see Herb Jones just doing Herb Jones things out there as an excellent defender. 1 steal, 1 block as well. You're seeing him and Zion Williamson develop really good chemistry. Zion has done a very good job at the point of attack in limiting whoever's in front of him. If you switch onto a guard, he can slow them down. And Herb just has this innate feel of, I see Zion is slowing them down, tripping them up a little bit. Runs in for a quick double team, gets the ball. It's awesome to see. And then Dyson Daniels pushing the point of attack defense like that, slowing things down, disrupting an offense. It's really great. He had a play late in the fourth quarter that was brilliant and doesn't show up as a stat in this game, though. After I think it was an offensive board or a drive to the basket by the Warriors, they kicked the ball out to Draymond Green, who's wide open at the top of the three-point line with Klay Thompson immediately to the left of him. And instead of going to run and close out on Draymond Green, who guy with the ball, that's the biggest threat, right? Dyson started to take a step there and just realized, like, I'll let Draymond shoot, and you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cover Klay Thompson instead. And Draymond immediately, because shooting would be a bad idea for him, passes the ball to Klay Thompson, who then takes a shot, but it's contested by Dyson Daniels, ends up in a miss and a defensive rebound for the Pelicans. Knowing to stay home on his guy, the threat, the shooter, and let Draymond Green shoot was a really smart play, and you don't really teach that kind of defense for a lot of guys. It's just kind of like an innate thing here, and he did a very good job of realizing all of that. It was truly an incredible performance there, and I love to see that. That's a threat off the bench. Herb, Zion playing good defense. Brandon Ingram had been playing good defense before his injury. This team's a threat on that side of the ball. It just looks pretty as they're communicating, doing everything they need to do. Rotating, the closeouts when they switch to zone seems to throw teams off. There's a lot of reasons to be confident, as stressed as we all are going into this final game of the regular season. But again, you kind of feel alive, don't you, when it comes to all of this? So we're going to find out what happens against the Lakers. Early afternoon game on Sunday. We'll, of course, have a show right after that, looking ahead to the postseason, whether it's a play-in tournament, hopefully not, or the actual 6 seed and whoever they're playing in the 3 seed, which still could be like anybody at this point. It could be the Nuggets. It could be the Timberwolves. It could be the Thunder. We'll find out on Sunday. Everything to play for. Revenge, redemption, the 6 seed. Going to be a lot of fun. Subscribe to Locked On Pelicans because you know we're going to be covering it here. And of course, come to the live in-person episode of Locked On Pelicans at Mid-City Yacht Club with the Pels 12. Meet some other Pelicans fans. Get excited for the postseason. We'll see you there. Aaron Summers, Will Guillory, Rel Myers going to be my guests on the show, a segment with each of them, and then a live Q&A after. I will see you at 7 p.m. in Mid-City Yacht Club. We will, of course, have a show before that talking about the finale of the regular season, what things look like for the Pelicans as well. So that's going to do it for a bonus episode here of Locked On Pelicans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, I'm your host, Jake Madison, at NOLA Jake on Twitter. I'll see y'all after Sunday.